Our first look at the Earnhardt Amazon documentary. High Limit Racing adds franchises to their racing series, and a NASCAR driver returns after a 6-year hiatus. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well on this Thursday night. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Always talking NASCAR and motorsports on a daily basis. We've got a lot of news to get into before Vegas this weekend. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Amazon unveiled their first trailer for the Earnhardt documentary about Dale Earnhardt Sr. It releases on Prime Video on Memorial Day weekend. Now, of course, that will be the Coke 600 weekend. That is when Amazon takes over coverage of the NASCAR series for the first time in their history. You've already seen them splurging money left and right with big name hires like Dale Jr. and now Carl Edwards on top of that. Co-produced by Ron Howard. Yes, that Ron Howard. Yes, Opie too. But regardless, it just shows this is a big deal. Amazon is taking their coverage of NASCAR seriously and having a big name documentary like Earnhardt that's going to transcend not only to NASCAR fans, but through the public course. That is very, very big for Amazon, showing that they're serious about how they cover NASCAR. Looking forward to see their twist on the Earnhardt documentary. Of course, Dale Jr. will be a part of it as well. Very, very excited. And Adam Stern of Sports Business Journal did also report today that Amazon is expecting their Cup Series numbers, as far as audience and viewing wise, to be similar to what the cable ratings are in NASCAR currently. Now, the key word there is cable ratings, not network, which is what you would consider Big Fox or NBC, but FS1, NBC Sports or USA, I guess now. Shows my age now. I'm still NBC Sports. Wow, that's a deep cut, I guess. But anyway, yes, the network is the big ratings there. But the cable side, that's what Amazon's going to be comparing themselves to. So around 2.5 million, maybe 3 million viewers. That's what Amazon is expecting, it sounds like, for their Cup Series. And I think that's pretty fair. I normally I would think, oh, well, Amazon's going to bring a lot more viewers. It's in a lot more houses considerably than TV networks like Fox and NBC. It sounds crazy to think that, but there's almost 200 million Americans with Amazon Prime. But that being said, think about the NASCAR demographic. How many of their fans are actually able to stream these races? I mean, these are the fans that are struggling streaming the CW races, partially because of CW's issues, but regardless of the fact, I think that's a very fair start for Amazon. And then if there's more, if they had 3, 4, 5 million viewers a race, well, that's just great. Moving on, it may be the start of the NASCAR season, but over here in America, football is in their offseason. And with that is a lot of college pro days as we get closer to the NFL draft. And still, NASCAR finds a way to be involved. John Blau is reporting that several NASCAR teams sent representatives to Clemson's Pro Day today in order to scout potential pit crew members. I love picturing a Legacy Motor Club head up there sitting next to Mike Tomlin going, what do you think about that guy? It's going to be a great jackman. Excuse me? I was looking at him as a cornerback. Anyway, I think that this is just a sign of the times here. You've seen the WWE and NASCAR both going to the NFL Combine and scouting potential athletes that may fall through the cracks. Now they're going straight to the teams here. Clemson, a football factory in the South, producing a lot of great athletes. You've seen a lot of different NASCAR backgrounds in the pit crew area with a lot of different athletic backgrounds, especially on the football side, even Super Bowl winners. So I think this is just, once again, a sign of the times, but a very cool wrinkle just to show that NASCAR teams are looking at any single area for even just a little bit of a leg up on their competition. And speaking of football, the franchises of the NFL have always been a comparison for NASCAR's charter system, it feels like. Well, we're not staying in the NASCAR world, but we're staying in the motorsports world. The High Limit Racing Series, owned by Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson, unveiled today in their State of the Series press conference before their opener tonight and this weekend in Las Vegas, that they will be entering a franchise system for the High Limit Racing Series, composed of 10 teams making up franchises in the series that will be paid out the next 5 years given on that. In order to determine that, the top 5 finishers of teams from 2024 were given franchises, and then this year, the next 5 teams, there's 7 teams competing for those 5 franchises, will be eligible to be for one of those next 5 franchises. Now, it's just, with NASCAR's charter system and the way that they've been arguing with the lawsuits, even NASCAR saying, we really probably don't need it anymore, but we kind of dug our own grave here. Then you see someone like the High Limit Racing Series with Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet, who've injected a lot of money competing against World of Outlaws on the dirt side. They're doing something completely different. And I know charters have really been talked about as the future. Even IndyCar has even talked about it potentially. But this is just wild to see franchises, literally called franchises, for the High Limit Racing Series. Very, very interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you like what they're doing here? Do you think it's interesting? Do you think it only works for high limit, or do you think it would work for something like NASCAR? I mean, at this point, it would just cause another lawsuit. And finally, I teased that a veteran driver from the NASCAR Cup Series was making his return after 6 years. Well, it was even longer than that, really, but he did a one-off start in 2019. Casey Mears, the 47-year-old from the famous racing family of the Mears family, will be returning to the NASCAR Cup Series. Mears is sitting at 489 starts in his career, 11 shy of the 500 club that a few dozen drivers are luckily enough to be a part of in the NASCAR Cup Series. And Mears says, I'm coming back. I'm going to make my attempt for 500. He'll be racing at Martinsville in a few weeks for the former MBM Garage 66 entry for Ford in that number 66 car. Casey Mears coming back to NASCAR. Wow. Okay, well, we were all clamoring for Carl Edwards, and we got a mid-2000s driver, and that was not Carl Edwards. We got Casey Mears, the winner of the former Coke 600 variety, his only win in the NASCAR world, but an extensive driving background. He was the first NASCAR driver to be the overall winner of the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. Now, again, hasn't been in the NASCAR Cup Series full-time since 2016, did do a one-off in 2019, the Daytona 500, where he did finish last, so, you know, that is what it is, especially the last few weeks with the discourse about NASCAR letting drivers be approved for Cup Series racing with lack of experience. Catherine Legg, of course, this weekend, Helio Castroneves, and it seems like everyone now will be comparing Mike Wallace to the litmus test. Well, do you have more experience than Mike Wallace? Okay, well then come on in. I get it, but I think that Casey Mears probably is a little bit more qualified to drive than Mike Wallace, even in that MBM 66. I know Mike Wallace was a plate racer. This is a little bit different on Martinsville, too. It's a little easier to get Casey Mears the exception at a Martinsville compared to a big oval track like Daytona. So I understand people are going to be saying, well, Mike Wallace got this, but Casey Mears that, Catherine like that. It's not always apples to apples, but let me know your thoughts down below. Are you excited to see Casey Mears chase 500 starts with MBM in their Garage 66 entry? Plus, the High Limit Racing Series with their franchises, the Earnhardt documentary, and NASCAR. Scouting at college campuses. Just a sign of the times, folks. If you liked what you saw, like this video here at Breaking Bob, subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR content. I do appreciate it. This weekend, Vegas, all three series in action. I'll be here for all the coverage. Stay tuned for more.